I want to thank you for watching my rebuttal to President Trump's 2019 State of the Union address. After listening to his speech, I thought it was as predictable as the winner of a one-horse race. It reminded me of this quote by the late Will Rogers, whose remarkable life should be celebrated as a national holiday. If we got 1/10 of what was promised to us in these State of the Union speeches, there would be no inducement to go to heaven. My name is Alston Jones, and I'm clearly not a politician. Both political parties would blackball me because I voted 8 times for the Republican presidential candidate and 8 times for the Democratic candidate. After my 16 votes, our political system has only gotten worse. It's time to admit I'm a political idiot, and I believe many of my fellow citizens are probably feeling the same way. I hope this honest State of the Union rebuttal will help all of us erase the idiot labels from our foreheads. Production of this video was possible because I have a truly incredible wife who agreed to honor my unusual request for a 90th birthday gift. I didn't have the nerve to parachute out of an airplane and felt this video would be a safer way to celebrate. I couldn't afford a brilliant speechwriter, so I hope viewers will overlook the lack of speaking eloquence and the usual lofty promises. Since my Texas accent is incurable, I have supported my spoken words with more legible written words. On this first chart, I've listed 7 controversial issues that neither political party has been able to solve. They have been too busy attacking each other and spending so much of their time trying to get reelected. Number 1, health care and how to make it available and affordable. Number 2, unequal distribution of wealth and the widening gap between America's haves and have-nots. Number 3, violent crime and gun control. Number 4, immigration, legal and illegal. Number 5, global warming and the environment. Number 6, freedom of religion, social and equality issues. Number 7, restoring civility and public confidence in a two-party political system that has become increasingly incompetent, chaotic, and dysfunctional. The two dominant political parties have radically different ideas on how to solve these problems. On separate charts, I'll highlight how each party proposes to resolve these issues. I will then encourage you to remove your red or blue jersey and make an informed decision on which political party has the plan that best reflects your opinions and values. If you failed to vote in 2020, take a long look in the mirror before blaming others for 4 more years of politics as usual. Number 1, health care and how to make it available and affordable. The Red Party wants the free market and insurance companies to determine the cost and level of health care Americans receive. They strongly oppose the government-run Medicaid program. The Blue Party prefers guaranteed coverage for all citizens with more government control of public health, similar to Medicare, and increased emphasis on disease prevention. Important footnote: neither party will vow under penalty of perjury to give the people they serve the health care benefits they've voted for themselves. Number 2, unequal distribution of wealth. The Red Party believes intelligence, ambition, and a willingness to work harder and longer entitles Americans to unlimited wealth and lower taxes. They argue the wealthy would use their tax savings to create higher-paying jobs and improve the lives of the working class. The Blue Party believes the playing field should be level by a system of taxation that doesn't favor wealthy campaign contributors and eliminates excessive greed at the top. They don't trust wealthy corporations and individuals to use their tax savings to improve the lives of America's vanishing middle class. Important footnote. Most Americans believe the voting records of elected leaders confirms their suspicion that those with a goal make the rules. Neither party has shown much interest in campaign finance reform, term limits for Congress, or other serious proposals to curb the corruptive influence of big money on our elections. Number 3, violent crime and gun control. The Red Party believes the Second Amendment guarantees every citizen a constitutional right to bear arms, and arming good guys with guns is the best way to stop bad guys with guns. The party's position on gun control is in lockstep with National Rifle Association policies. The Blue Party doesn't dispute any citizen's constitutional right to bear arms, but believes sensible gun control is the best way to ensure America is no longer the world leader in mass shootings and gun deaths. Important footnote. Politicians in red states favor NRA policy, and those in blue states oppose it. Voters who are concerned that America is the world leader in gun violence and deaths should ignore party labels and vote their conscience. Number 4, immigration, legal and illegal. The Red Party believes there's a crisis on the southern border, and a massive wall will stop the flood of illegal immigrants who are entering the country, many who are drug dealers, rapists, and terrorists. The Blue Party believes a majority of immigrants attempting to enter the country on the southern border are desperate to escape poverty and violent crime in their own country. They argue a wall won't solve the problem, as most illegal immigrants enter the country legally and overstay their visas. Important footnote. If America faces a real crisis at the southern border or anywhere in the world, we can't afford a president who attempts to rally the nation by declaring the only thing we have to fear is each other. Number 5, global warming and the environment. The Red Party says global warming is a hoax engineered by the Chinese and other countries to hurt America's great economy. They argue continued dependence on our fossil fuel and coal industries will strengthen our economy. The Blue Party says most respected scientists agree that global warming isn't a hoax, and failure to address the problem immediately is a threat to our country and the entire planet. They believe America's economy would boom if our nation becomes the world leader in developing clean energy. Important footnote. This debate has been raging for decades. Apply common sense and follow the money to see which party has strong support from the companies that now pollute America's land, water, and air. Number 6, freedom of religion, social, and equality issues. The Red Party says abortion, gay marriage, and other equal right concessions to the LGBT community are an attack on religion and violate God's law. The Blue Party says the Constitution guarantees freedom of and from religion, but founders wanted a clear separation of church and state to prevent America from becoming a theocracy. They argue women should make decisions related to their body, and one's religious beliefs aren't superior to the equal rights guaranteed every American. Important footnote. Both parties have used religion and long-held beliefs on social issues as a wedge to build political support. Your vote should be based on what you believe about separation of church and state, equal rights for every citizen, and a governing theocracy. Number 7, restoring civility and public confidence in a two-party political system that has become increasingly incompetent and dysfunctional. The Red Party claims their conservative ideology will restore economic prosperity, reduce the national debt, protect religious freedom, and traditional family values. They argue their America First policy will make America stronger, and the other party's liberal agenda will turn America into a bankrupt socialist country. The Blue Party claims they represent the middle class, and their progressive policies will build a better and fair economy by giving all Americans a better opportunity to succeed. They argue the other party's tax breaks will primarily help the wealthiest Americans. Important footnote. The bitterness between the two major political parties makes it unlikely they'll ever work together in a bipartisan way. The two-party political system is hopelessly broken, and voters must elect new leaders who have the courage to fix the failed system. Eliminating the corruptive influence of big money on elected leaders will be an important first step. Where a citizen chooses to live should never invalidate their vote. An electoral college system that allows a presidential candidate to claim a governing mandate with almost 3 million fewer votes is not democracy's finest hour. You have reviewed 7 of today's most important issues and how each of the two major political parties proposes to fix them. Your votes in 2020 will start determining America's future. Before making your final decision on which party to support, I urge you to take a crash course in American history. Read Will Rogers' World by Brian B. and Francis Sterling, and I Never Met a Man I Didn't Like by Joseph H. Carter. Reading these books will inspire you to vote and make wiser political decisions. Will Rogers was a Native American born November 4th, 1879, in Cherokee Nation before it became the state of Oklahoma. He died in a plane crash on August 15, 1935, at 56 years of age, and many of today's voters won't recognize the name. Reading these important books will accomplish 5 important things. 1. It will reduce the amount of shame you personally feel for the current chaotic state of America's governing system. Rogers described with humor many problems with our political system that existed 100 years ago, but has gotten much worse on your watch. Number 2, most of this blame and shame falls squarely on the shoulders of my generation. We admired Will Rogers and knew he was telling us the truth about our broken political system. We simply laughed and never voted to fix the problems he clearly defined with humor. Number 3, the life and wise words of Will Rogers should inspire Americans to show their appreciation for democracy by making voting a number 1 priority. Number 4, voters might also question the logic of believing divided government makes a democracy stronger when everyone knows a divided nation is weaker. Number 5, true statesmen in both of the two divided parties might consider merging into one USA party if neither party will commit to historic reforms of the current political system. We will never have a more perfect union until we, the people, determine the future course of a democracy, not those who have the goal. I will close this State of the Union rebuttal by making a confession. It was my original intent to poke a little fun at America's powerful political class and close with a few humorous Will Rogers quotes. I grew up at a time Americans could laugh about our political system because it was considered a joke. Texas Governor W. Lee Pappy O'Daniel came to our town square every 2 years campaigning with his great country band, free barbecue, and watermelon. It was entertaining and lots of fun. Everyone was happy, clapping, and laughing as Pappy repeated the same promises he made 2 years earlier. I never saw anyone who was angry or screaming to lock someone up. When we got home, our dad told all of us kids to forget his promises to help farmers and ranchers. He said the only promises Pappy would keep would be to those rich oil men in Houston who paid for the great music, watermelon, and barbecue. He also reminded us how lucky we were to live in Texas, because those Louisiana politicians are really crooked. It's impossible to describe today's State of the Union with humor, as our democracy is facing a perfect storm. There's no longer a checks and balance safety net. The executive branch, under criminal investigation, has formed an unholy alliance with Senate leaders to keep his Republican administration in power at any cost. They shamefully divide the country for political gain, attack governing institutions, the free press, or anyone who exposes their incompetence, lies, and chaotic attempt to govern. It's gotten so bad, family members, friends, and neighbors can't mention politics at a party because everyone gets angry. Some longtime friend might defriend them the next day on one of those Star Wars devices. This fortunately never happened to me, as my younger friends still can't believe I haven't already been committed to an institution for the technology challenge. As promised, I'll close with a few Will Rogers quotes that are as timely today as they were 100 years ago. If by some divine act of providence we could get rid of both these parties and hire some good men like any other business does, we would be sitting pretty. You've got to admit that each party is worse than the other. The one that's out always looks the best. Both parties have their good and bad times at different times. Good when they're out, bad when they're in. The Republicans have always been the party of big business, the Democrats of small business. So you take your pick. The Democrats have their eye on a dime and the Republicans on a dollar. We are billions in the hole, will be billions more next year, and not a congressman has got the nerve to ask voters to pay a part of it in taxes. Ain't it funny how many hundreds of thousands of soldiers we can recruit with nerve, but we can't find one politician in a million with a backbone? I have a scheme for stopping war. It's this: no nation is allowed to enter a war until they paid for the last one. To get any kind of idea about Russia, everything in the world we do, every viewpoint we have, is different in Russia. I was surprised they didn't walk on their hands instead of their feet just to be different from capitalistic nations. When Judgment Day comes, civilization will have an alibi. I never took a human life. I only sold the fellow the gun to take it with. 10 men in the country could buy the world, and 10 million can't buy enough to eat. The whole trouble with Republicans is their fear of an increase in income tax, especially on higher incomes. We are not only the richest nation in the world, but we are the poorest. We got more than any of them, but we owe more. Everybody is ignorant, only on different subjects. A man learns by two things. One is reading, the other is association with smarter people. There is always plenty to denounce as long as there is a Republican administration. The trouble with Democrats is that they all want to run for president. When those old boys who blueprinted the first Constitution decided that a man can believe what he likes in regard to religion, that's one line that's going to stay put. I don't know how I got here, but I will stay ignorant and take my chances in the end. This final one should be sent first class to Donald Trump. No man is great if he thinks he is. Thanks again for watching my rebuttal to President Trump's address. If my words offended anyone who doesn't deserve to be offended, I sincerely apologize. I'm hoping more Americans will make a commitment to vote in 2020. We may not be lucky enough to find a 21st century Abe Lincoln, but we can surely do better than we're doing now.